pretty much what everyone in this country is pretty much is experiencing when you come into one of these agents or one of these private contractors, okay, which are foreign agents. And let me start off by saying that under the IRS Federal Reserve, Title 12, Section 411, there is no money, okay? And I want you guys to go ahead and start off and pretty much jot that down. You can look that up. But under the Federal Reserve Act, under Title 12, Section 411, there is no money, okay? And also, the people are the credit line, okay? That's McFadden, 1932, 1962. This is a Supreme Court case law, okay? People are the credit line, and signature is the money. Signature is the collateral. It is the money that is made off property. The signature is what makes the money off the property, okay? So these courts are committing inside trading, you know what I'm saying, act in which we should bring these judges, you know what I'm saying, and also these sheriffs on impeachment charges, okay? Now, let me say that once again, Title 12, Section 411, there's no money, okay? McFadden, credit line, Supreme Court case, 1932, 1962, people are the credit line. Signature is the collateral, not the person. Money is made off the signatures, not the property, okay? So I want to put that out there, and just, and I want y'all to put that to the side, because we're going to go in real deep. One thing they're violating is the Highway Safety Act and federal funding, which means 40% of the proceeds, when they bring you into court for any taxes or anything like that, that means that subdivisions or the money that is put aside for the public, you know, whether each individual group based off your ethnicity, you know, have a right to this money, you know what I'm saying, and you're able to put the money back into the community, build your parks, your schools, and et cetera, what have you, which they are not doing. Now, I'm going to get into these bonds. Basically, with these bonds is, I don't care if it's a traffic case, whatever it is, criminal, mortgage, dealing with a lawsuit, anything. The bottom line is what they are targeting us, and what we all are going to jail for is basically for tax evasion. Now, I'm finna explain this, and we finna learn today what goes on. Now, on an alternate valuation, on a carryover basis, is why, the reason why, I'm going to say this again, an alternate valuation on a carryover basis is why these attorneys and everybody who you deal with has a tax liability on their Title 26, 2032, capital A, lowercase e, 11, period. Please write this down so y'all can look this up and bring this up to these judges and these most attorneys, and a lot of them don't even know about this. Now, I'm going to say it one more time. An alternate valuation on a carryover basis is why these attorneys, judges, and everybody who you deal with has a tax liability, which is on their Title 26, 2032, capital A, lowercase e, 11. If you have a qualified error, which is what these attorneys and judges and all these public servants, because all of them are public servants, are claiming to be a qualified error on your estate. And it says it in subsection 11. If a qualified error makes a written application to the secretary for determination of the maximum amount of the additional tax which is may be imposed by subsection C with respect to the qualified error interest, the secretary, as soon as possible in an event within 1 year after making such application, shall notify the error of such maximum amount. The qualified error on furnishing that bond in such amount for such period as may be required shall be charged from the personal liability from the additional tax imposed by subsection C, shall be entitled to a receipt or writing showing the discharge. Now, They supposed to give you a receipt when you go to court. They supposed to have 2 receipts that they supposed to give you going to court. They supposed to give you a receipt from the money order transaction from the OID, which they are not filling out in court, which you supposed to apply, which is a 4490 form and a 3949A form, which in court these attorneys and judges is supposed to be filling out. So here it is. I'm finna go into what this actually means, and this is in the IRC, Internal Revenue Code handbook and guide, that they are specifically supposed to have a bond. Now, anything pertaining to a felony, your bond case may goes up to probably about $4 million, which means that they have to have a bond or either pay the liability disability on the tax bond, which is about $3 million, which comes out to about on the bond. If they had the bond, they'd be responsible for $1.5 million on any federal felony case that they trying to bring up towards you. Now, this is what I be bringing up and trying to get other people to bring up in court, is to ask these judges and these countries who is furnishing the bond in order to show that they have no tax liability. Is it me or you? You know what I'm saying? Do y'all understand that what the bond is? Okay? The bond is not the fact that they pay it off the birth certificate or what have you. It's the surety bond that they have to have, and as you as a beneficiary, you can demand that they have a bond in amount of no less than $100,000 to put up for the case. In your case, since the birth certificates are worth billions of dollars, then they need to be putting up $1 million per case. So let me explain that. If they have 10 cases, they supposed to have at least $100,000 bond per case. So that means they got to have $100,000 bond for this case, that case, that case, that case. Whether if it's 100 cases, they do not have money or make enough money to be able to bring you into court and claim a charge against your estate. Not even one. So how all these courts feel when these folks are not insured? Because why? They gave up their citizenship and joined the foreign powers of the United Nations. So here it is. Mostly our problems come from what? From the police department. The sheriffs pretty much don't even bother you, but the police department, who is basically a private contractor, which they claiming that they represent 911. The color red represent Red Cross. Red Cross represents 911. The blue color, the lights that they represent, that represent the blue waters that they coming over the ocean from the United Nations imposing laws on the land of the Republic. So anytime when they turn the blue lights on you as a living, breathing man traveling in your capacity, not committing a crime, they are not supposed to hinder you from your progress unless you committed a crime with your vehicle. Other than that, it's a felony for them to even turn the lights on you. So when they step out of their cruiser, they got a cruiser, that means a ship, they are trespassing on the land of the Republic, which means that they are no more than a man with a gun. Period. And the sheriffs are allowing these people to do that. These folks are really ain't supposed to have no gun. They only supposed to invest in crimes dealing with corporations or ocean, or when folks breaking ocean laws pertaining to a corporation. They're never supposed to deal with us as a living, breathing man or woman. But yet and still, they bring us into these courts. You know what I'm saying? First of all, if they bring a charge against you and arrest you, you're supposed to immediately go before a judge first, before you even go into booking and a holding tank. But yet and still, they hold you, kidnap you, get your fingerprints, force you into a contract on a bond, right? And that's the only way you can be able to release yourself in order to fight these criminal fraud charges. But what the point is, when you go into these courts, ask them, who has the bond? Who is liable for the bond? Now, let me go into further, because I'm finna go in real deep, and I'm finna go into my so I want y'all to listen very carefully. Now, they have to have the bond. They have 100% tax liability on your estate. So what they're trying to claim that you must pay essentially what your statement illegally paid, then you have a 100% tax liability if they do not have the bond in place. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with the presumptive death certificate. They are claiming to be a qualified heir on your estate, which is the all caps name. They are saying that they can come in, rape your estate, but they don't get rid of their liability to do unless they put up the bond. And there are very few attorneys that know this. And I know how many judges probably don't know this either. But how many cases that you can go in and nail them on the discovery? Either put up or shut up. Either you have it or you don't have it. You know what I'm saying? Now, the thing is that these are some questions that we need to ask them or put into the contract. You know, when we put in challenging the jurisdiction as far as the writ of discovery, you hit them with that breach of contract if they don't put up the bond. They have to put up the bond to maintain and get out of their tax liability. And that's when you come in and you ask them under discovery, do you have the tax liability for your alternate valuation on your carryover basis? You're claiming to come in here as part of my estate as a qualified heir. First of all, you're not even a qualified debt collector. You are out of running with that avenue a long time ago. So now on the carryover basis, can you put up the required bond to get out of your tax liability? Who has the tax liability? Me or you? It's always got to be them. They always, because they're the one that's bringing the fraudulent charges. So you don't have to put up the bond. They do. Okay? So what you do is you ask the judge, you know what I'm saying, who is raising the estate. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to put it off on the prosecutor attorney. Then you turn to the prosecutor attorney. Do you have the 1040 for this case? You have the 1099A acquisition and the cancellation. Have you filled out the monetary order and have you paid the necessary $1.5 million in order for you to deal with this case? If not, I'm taking care of that immediately with the IRS, filling out the 3949A form with the W-9 as the cover sheet, filling out the 211 form, send it to both places of the whistleblowers. You send it to the United States CID, which is the Criminal Investigation Division. You also send it to the Treasury Inspector General and the State Attorney General. Okay? And that's how you nail these suckers, you know what I'm saying? By turning their ass in. You know what I'm saying? Because they are not supposed to be in these courts because they are not licensed and insured at all. And they do not have the bond. So nobody ain't supposed to be in these court cases at all. So that's why now it's very understood when you stand on your square and you tell them you don't understand and the judge and them go berserk, schizophrenic crazy, and then they want to hold you in contempt and send you off to a mental evaluation, which is schizophrenic because they knowing that every time that they come in that court and they sit in there, they're gambling. They gambling with their livelihood and they gambling with their life. And they know this. You know what I'm saying? And they know this. So, and think not,